Seeing nothing? Okay, will be approved as written. Okay, next item is the election of vice chairperson. Is there anybody who wishes to nominate themselves for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Supervisor Hartwig.
Supervisor Hartwig, anybody else? Seeing nobody else, are you accepting the nomination?
Sure, I would do it.
Awesome. Okay, see no other nominations. I guess we don't need the ballots then, right?
No, just do a motion in a second. And
Oh.
it's unanimous vote.
We'll make a motion in a second for,
You want to move? It's your right.
Sure.
I'll second.
a motion by Supervisor McCulick, second by Supervisor Garath. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, item B, minor grant to fund for lake and easement for the relocation of Polk Springs. Do you have anything? Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess I won't say too much on it. I know I'm probably Paul Backus. I'm a technician in the Land Resources Division and Natural Resources Department. I've been waist deep in this project now for a couple months. I know I put something in your agenda packet with some maps and a description of it, and kind of happy to answer any questions you may have about it.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead, Supervisor.
Paul, I'm just curious, you can see kind of where the creek went years ago across that field.
Yep.
Do we have an idea when it changed?
Somewhere between 1937 and 1941.
Ooh,
Because we have air photo of a 37 and a 41, and back in 37 you could see it going across the field, and 41 it moved along the fence lines. I know I'm always kind of personally surprised at what people in the 30s and 40s got accomplished, and it's kind of impressive in its own way.
You mean what they could get away with? More accurate? Any other questions?
I just have one question. When is the project going to be completed?
We're actually looking at starting very soon, and we're hoping to have this all kind of moving along at a very similar timeline as the County Highway P reconstruction. So I'd anticipate that the project will be completed probably late summer, early fall, with kind of all the grass planted, landscaping completed, and kind of tying in the stream all around the same time as when the kind of the roads widened and all the work's being completed.
Okay. I was just wondering, I had a lot of people asking me when it's going to be completed, because why are you doing P and Highway 60, everything at one time?
Okay.
There's people get nervous going to work in the morning, but it's just questions. Can you answer that? So I can tell the people what the reasoning is, okay?
Yeah, we originally didn't want to do our county highway project in the same year as the DOT's Highway 60 project, but the funding that was tied to our project, they forced us essentially with the funding to do it this year, even though we very openly said, hey, there's going to be a conflict and there's going to be a lot of citizens that are going to be frustrated with all this going on in the Jackson area. And they said, yep.
All right, well, thank
So,
you. Now I have a
that was
good
not on us.
answer to give
Yeah.
the people. Thank you.
And I've driven through Jackson, and I second that. It is frustrating. Any other questions?
Yeah, for me.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Facilities Quarterly Report. Hello.
Hi. I'm Kara Herdrich. I'm the facilities manager for Washington County, and our goals have over the last several years have centered around two separate principles within our department, primarily customer relationship as well as the infrastructure of our buildings. In the last couple of years, we have completed 4 of our goals. You'll see them highlighted in yellow on your report. Some of the highlights from the completion of those goals include that we've got an established KPI that we report on with regards to new and completed work orders. We initiated a customer satisfaction survey last year, and we've conducted it 3 times with an average score of 4.25 out of 5. We completed a inventory of our assets, primarily our mechanical equipment, electrical equipment, et cetera, and updated our systems. And we reviewed all of our preventative maintenance schedules, which had been developed by Johnson Controls back in around 2010. And we went through those schedules and we reviewed and updated, removed a large number of basically just like keep busy types of work orders, and then added some work orders that we felt were important for other pieces of equipment. The next steps we've added some goals to do include documentation around our standard operating procedures. Again, documents that haven't been updated since the Johnson Controls time 15 years or so ago. So we're going through our most critical preventative maintenance tasks and making sure that we have detailed instructions on how to perform those PMs. We are working towards formalizing various communications with our customers as it relates to things that are happening on an emergency basis, on a project basis, and also with regards to a one-on-one basis as needed. And we're continuing to work on our master plan, including space planning with an architect that we've recently hired, PRA. I think all of you are familiar with that because we presented at the county board meeting. And in addition to that, we're continuing to work with managing our asset replacements based off of predictive as well as age requirements. So those are some things that we're continuing to work on in our goals for us going forward. I am able to answer any questions that you may have.
I just an observation on my part. There's a couple of due dates that are past due. One that says it's on track, but it said the due date is 7/29 of 23.
Yeah. There's one that had an error that was right off the bat when I entered it. And that was the one, it was supposed to be 2024, and it was entered in error, and you can't fix it in the system. So sorry I didn't note that before. I think I've talked about that at other meetings before.
There's a second one down on that last
Yep.
page too, the campus master plan. It says due date is 12/29 of 23.
So that's one that I've added tasks to or added goals to into that same goal. So it's continuing on. System wise, I have not addressed how to update that overriding date.
Maybe you can talk to the IT guy who's next.
Yep.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys? See nothing else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is the Information Technology Quarterly Report.
Good evening. I'm the IT guy. So I'm Joel Woppert. I'm the Director of IT here at Washington County. I know I'm new to the committee here in Public Works, so it feels good to be here. Just to kind of recap at a high level, some of our initiatives in IT, in addition to kind of keeping the lights on, keeping updates and all that stuff. These are some of the high-level projects that we're working on. A lot of these projects are related to our capital expenditure that we've put in. The first one, redesign access databases and applications. This is basically taking data from stuff we've been keeping in Excel spreadsheets and Microsoft Access and put them into a more customized application, easier to run reports on, queries, add information to, and really streamline productivity for departments. A lot of these right here are taking permits that we've had on paper and putting them into an application that's online. People can fill out internal employees can kind of take that data, and then it's all internal. It's all backed up on paperwork and in the system, and has workflow and everything to it. That's a lot of what this is about right here.
So Joel, quick question. So land sources next generation permitting, that has nothing to do with next generation houses. That's just a pejorative for the next thing for permitting. Right? That's not.
This is just the permitting. Yeah, this has nothing to do with next gen housing.
All right,
Correct.
So we're using that term next generation on a number of things.
Yeah, this is the kind of think when we use the term next generation here, we're going from paper to the digital world.
Sure, okay.
So, yep.
So that's just the next.
The next best thing.
Gotcha.
Correct. So that's what in Washco Apps, you see that word on there. That's our internal application server that we build these applications in. In the beginning of the year, we had an application for a request from the medical examiner's office. Then we had a new medical examiner come into Washington County and kind of looked at everything and decided to work a different route. So this one was kind of closed out for us early. We had been working on an application for them, kind of the same thing, getting off of a old Access and Excel type of setup into an application. But the new medical examiner did find an application that already suits their needs and is exactly what they need, canned already. So she decided to go that route. The next initiative is kind of looking at cloud services. What can we do in the cloud versus buying more storage and more computers and more servers here on premise? So this is all about taking us from traditional file stores here on site and applications here in our data center and moving them to the cloud. Cloud seems to be more advantageous now in business because of costs are coming down versus costs of buying physical equipment. So we're looking at that. We're kind of, yes.
Just a question on the cloud part of it. Is there any concern with other security issues? I know we've always worked real hard on security, but if we move it to the cloud, are there other concerns about security with the information?
I think the concern is equal. So we just shift from doing on-site security to cloud security. So that's where the focus would just change. The threat landscape is the same. There's protections in cloud services. For example, the one we work with Microsoft, they're in a data center that has more security than a typical consumer because of the government aspect of us. So there's a lot more security involved in some of these cloud services than most people think of. I would say that the Microsoft tenant that houses our email is highly secure. And they get more restrictions around their data centers for government than they do on the commercial side. But that is something we will take into consideration and something that we include as we look at these services. What's the security behind it? Is there two-factor authentication? What's their auditing policy look like? Can we audit them ourselves? There's all these things. And like I say, it's just moving the security from here to shifting it over there.
The only question I have on that is it would be in cost impact. You said that the cloud services have come down in price. Mm-hmm. So it's your opinion that it's cheaper than moving it off base, than buying the equipment and backups and all that and keeping that going here?
I've seen the cost of cloud come down, yes. Mm-hmm. We're buying physical hardware now. So you got all the metal construction into the hardware that we buy. Disk prices keep going up. So a lot of that cost has come down with cloud services, and we'll continue to keep evaluating that and making the best decision that's in good interest for the county.
Thank you.
With Microsoft, we had gone to Teams briefly, and that didn't work out too good. Now we're back to Zoom. Can you expand on that a little bit at a high level?
Sure. I would say Teams was not a failure. In fact, the county board is one of the departments that decided to stick with Zoom. And I think it was there was one other department that still had a need for Zoom. But I think that's more of an equipment issue in that aspect. The rest of the county has been successful on Teams. Health Department uses it heavily. Human Services Department uses it heavily. IT, I mean, we have weekly meetings in IT. So I think some of the equipment was a factor into that issue. And I think we're going to look at replacing equipment.
Meaning our computers?
Meaning actually the Zoom rooms is what we had the most issues with. So the Zoom rooms were purchased during COVID-19 and with those COVID funds. So if we look at that, equipment's 4 and 5 years old now. And unfortunately, technology is what it is. It's not meant to last like it was.
Thank you.
So I think a lot of that will fix that.
So 4 years is considered old in the computer world now?
Unfortunately, everything's disposable now.
Well, my computer is 8 years at home, so I should probably be searching then.
Yeah, it is amazing. I remember the first IBM ThinkPads. Those things were tanks. You know, they were big and
Sure.
And yeah, those things ran for years. Now we're lucky if we can get a battery to last a year on a new Lenovo. So yeah, but we'll continue to do our due diligence on cloud and kind of evaluate what makes sense. You know, we'll take in security, cost, all that, and make the best decision for the county.
Thank you.
There's a couple major upgrades and reimplementations that happened. So on the advancing applications and workflow in Washington County, you see the word My Avatar. That's an application, an ERM for the electronic medical records program for the health department, or I'm sorry, Human Services Department. So we went through just a big implementation. We had IT staff there working with a third-party vendor, and that has been successful. I've heard good feedback from that. I met with their department last Thursday and had a good update. And they'll continue to log different changes and things that they need, but that's going well. The Tyler Munis upgrade here. So Tyler Munis is our kind of like our ERP system here. That's all of our financial, general ledger and all that. That actually completed last week on time on the 9th. So that is, when this paper went to you, it was in progress. Now it's completed. That was a huge undertaking. Countless hours of doing that migration. We actually took the county down for Thursday and Friday as our vendor worked on the migration. But all in all, it looks like it's successful. Now it's just a matter of working out little minor bugs that come up. But we're keeping software up to date, which is important, so we get the security behind it, as well as make sure we get the updates, new features, all of that. As software and equipment gets old, you kind of lose that support. So it's important that we keep up on these. And then the child support document scanning project, that's still in draft. I've reached out to our attorney to see if that's something they still want to pursue. And if they do, then we'll look at what that entails. Enhancements to IT infrastructure. So this is all that equipment that we're talking about here now, the physical hardware that we buy. This year we went through a backup services update. So this is the backup equipment that backs up our data for us and sends it off-site for us as well. That went through. We have some servers on here, so physical hardware that has aged out, become end of support, end of service. We replaced those. Same with the network switches. Network switches is what everyone's laptop connects to one of these guys. It connects back to a closet. That's a switch. So switches have been in the county for quite some time. In fact, I just pulled one out yesterday. It was manufactured in 2004. I hope the next one I put in lasts that long. Going on with that, this year we'll continue to work on the sheriff's office. They're scheduled to get all their network closets refreshed. And then in 25, we'll look at the public agency center for switches. And then the wireless access points are coming up to end of support, end of service, where we have to look at replacing those in 2025. Enhancements to cybersecurity. This year, once again, with hardware, the actual firewall that kind of keeps bad guys out of the network was replaced in March of this year. Once again, becomes a support issue. The vendors say, hey, we're not going to support this device anymore, so you got to upgrade it, so we do. We've actually created a criminal justice information security compliant network for our sheriff's office, and we've moved servers over to that network, meeting that criteria from the audits from the department set by the Department of Justice. We're continuing to build out our vulnerability management, so anything that is considered a hole in our network, we have software that kind of identifies that on a daily basis. As new threats come out, this software keeps up with that, and then this software reports back to us, and then we have our action and marching items to kind of address those security concerns. That's a never-ending battle, and I'm sure that will be something that we're going to go on into the future here. We did complete our 2024 annual security audit that we have hosted by a third-party vendor. They actually come in, they sit down with me for 2 days. We go over all of our internal controls. I take them on a Zoom tour of the building, show them, that the data center has card access to get in. I show them security cameras. We kind of do all this big audit. It's 2 days, full 2 days. So that went well. We did drop. There's a couple findings that we have to address on those. One of the big findings for that was last year we had the last couple of years we had a dedicated person for security. That was me before I took the director role. Now, as me taking on the director role, we don't have someone that's dedicated solely for security. So that was a big finding that kind of dropped our score. And it's like a credit score. So they give you a scale from like 300 to 800, and we're right around that 660, I believe. And so that's what we'll continue to look at. And with these audits every year, there's new criteria. So that's just stuff we jump on and evaluate as we go through this.
Just a quick question on that aspect. I know in the past we've come before the board and done a review of this. Is that something that will come before the full board as far as a review of that audit and the findings of it?
That's what I would like to do, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's very important to give the board a kind of a pulse on where we're at. So yes, absolutely.
So if we rank down because we didn't have a dedicated security person, what's the outcome now? Or are we getting one?
That's something I'm in talks with Scott about, and that is on my forecast. But I do believe that is a need, and we'll address that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then in 25 we'll do another audit, but these are just annual audits that we do internally in conjunction with everything else that we get, from the Department of Justice and all that. Lastly, our IT shared services are going well. In fact, tonight you'll see a proposal before you for another municipality that we want to bring on. So far, we have the village of Newburgh, the village of Kewaskum, and recently the town of Addison. We have brought them onto our IT shared services. It's going really well. Good reports from the towns and villages that they're appreciating the service. They like the personnel, and they actually like being able to reach out to us and having that kind of knowledge transfer from us to them. So that's been working out well. Kind of on the docket, I know we've had interest from the village of Germantown that I'll be reaching out to them again to follow up after we kind of get through the next one here. The town of Erin has reached out as well. And then the town of West Bend, which is a proposal later on tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just approved it Tuesday.
The town of West Bend did?
Town of West Bend approved it.
Okay.
So
we had good conversations there, and I suspected they would have.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Anybody? Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, and for the new people here, this transit ridership report. We've been following it for as long as I've been on the board. Obviously, we got rid of the Washington County Commuter Express, so that is no longer on here, so we just focus on the taxi ridership. So you take it away.
My name is Charles Kofta. I'm the transit manager for Washington County. I manage the grants, the contracts, the vehicles, the budget, and I do the reports for the state and feds. Let's see, a little background. As you mentioned, the WCC ended in 2023. The pandemic, it lowered ridership and it increased costs for both the taxi and the bus. The taxi is a door-to-door service. We had a fare increase. It was approved in 2023 and it started in 2024. This year we have less contracted hours scheduled than the previous 2 years. And then we also have a cross-county program with Ozaki that started as a pilot in 2021. So the public can request a ride to be picked up in Washington County and dropped off in Ozaki County. And then if you want to come back to Washington County, you have to schedule with Ozaki and they'll bring you back to Washington County. We can't pick up in Ozaki County due to grant funding and duplication of service. So included are the reports for ridership. Doug Newman requested the operational statistics for the cost per trip and the fares per trip. We also have the cross-county trips. We have the trips by fare type. These are the fare types that were affected by the fare increase for 2024. Let's see. We also have trip purpose. We just thought it'd be nice to see what most of the trips are used for. Highest is employment and medical. And as you can see, the highest category of people taking it are disabled and elderly. And then we also have trips by hour and day of week. The busiest time is 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. That's the busiest day and time. And then it really, drops off around 6 p.m. Our hours are 5 to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and we're open 8 till 4 on Sunday. And we also thought it'd be nice to include how many drivers are working those days and at that time, just so you see how it's staffed for those busy and slow periods. Do you have any questions?
Supervisor? The numbers on the very first part there between 2023 and 2024, there was a considerable drop. Was that because of the Washington County Commuter Express?
This is just for the shared ride taxi. So the numbers dropped due to the contracted hours. They're lower this year, so they're currently under their projection for the year. So you'll see the ridership likely increase in the next 2 months as they manage those hours to meet the year. But the reason those are
less available hours.
The
reason for the decline between 2023 and 2024 from January to April.
If I can interject here, I think because of the fare increases, that had some effect on it as well, right?
Yeah. The fare increase also would likely affect.
And that's something that we were going to kind of watch because they weren't increased before for 20 years or something like that. So we decided last year to kind of bring them up.
Yep.
And then we thought it would take a hit, and it kind of has. But I see it's coming back up again. Okay. So as people get used to it, I think that's what we're hoping for, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you could share with these people, too, with the new members here, how many buses we have or how many taxis we have? Was it 35 or?
We have 30 taxis.
30, okay.
So it's a combination of minibuses and cutaway like bariatric vans. It's kind of in between a minibus and a minivan. And then we have a few minivans. We just got 4 bariatric vans that were ordered in 2021. So those just showed up just this last month.
Okay.
And I have a question for you, Charles. Mm-hmm. And John, maybe you know this. So, and again, I'm a new guy here, so just a question. Okay. On the first page under operational statistics, when I read across, total cost per trip, fares, and then fares per trip. So let's just say January of this year, $9.36. So from the actual user, I'm collecting $9.36, and the actual cost is $36.29. So cost per trip and fares per trip.
Let's see. Oh, that's just a breakdown of the fares divided by the trips.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So $9.36, that's what that is, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, so we roughly pick, or they're paying roughly 25% of the actual costs
Right.
of the trip. And then next to it is billed hours, so here's a stupid question. Who are we billing those hours to? Like, what does that mean, billed hours? What do we-
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's with the contracted provider. So we have a contracted provider who does the taxi service. They're called Specialized Transport Services, and they are the contract with them is they are paid by the revenue hour. It's not deadhead hours where they're driving to pick up someone. It's only when they have someone in the vehicle.
So those are the billed hours from them to us.
Correct. Yes. So they send us an invoice each month, and then here are the billed hours, and then they have a set hourly rate for the year.
Okay, and we're paying obviously the difference between the fare and the actual cost per hour.
So the set rate is at the beginning of the year. It's the same rate throughout the year. Yeah, and so the set rate for this year is about 30. It's between 36 and 37. I can get back to you on the exact
Okay.
rate.
Chairman.
So that's what we're roughly
sorry.
collecting, is about 25 cents on the dollar for the actual cost.
I think that's one of the reasons we increased it, was because we wanted to
Yeah, close that
more
part.
of that if we could. Chairman Schleif has a question?
Thank you, Mary. Mary.
You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You note here too on the second page, the counties around us, when we were studying it last year, Supervisor Shadron and Supervisor Hartwig will remember this, but those counties mostly just do medical, elderly, and disabled. And you can see that that's where a lot of ours are. So it's working the way we hoped it would. But remind me what agency means.
That's where the person riding, they don't pay the fare themselves. A federal or state agency pays for their trip.
Thank you.
And from when I met with Scott Schmidt the other day, and he explained with the increase in the fares, you were increasing the adult category.
Correct.
But not like the seniors and the disabled.
Correct.
It was minor.
Kind of gearing it towards
The seniors and
bringing
the,
it to, providing that service for the people who really
correct.
need it and wouldn't have another option.
Yep.
Yep.
But we're still offering it to the adults, just at an increased. And when we had the public hearing a while back, we had some people that were complaining about it because, I mean, some of the lower income and stuff, they really appreciated that. But, I mean, it's the hard pill to swallow, and it's a decision that we had to make. So, but yes, this I think is geared more for the senior citizens and stuff, so they can get to their medical. And that's kind of our forethought on trying to offset some of the increased costs because of the inflation that we're hitting right now.
Right.
So, and we can always review that in the future. I was wondering if it probably would not hurt if we can share some of that information that we got with the new members here.
Okay.
Because I know Bob and I have a lot of that to fall back on, to
Okay.
remember why we're at where we are now.
Okay.
And I think that'll explain a lot to these
Yeah.
guys. Have some midnight reading.
Okay.
There's some big packets out there. Any other questions, or did you have anything more to add, or?
Just that you see the note here at the bottom that the in 23 and 2022. Let's see the. Oh, okay. Never mind. I have the note here. Okay. Yeah, it was just that the management was the manager looked over both the taxi and the bus, so the administration expenses were split. But this is just the taxi here in 2022 and 2023.
Oh,
So-
gotcha. Okay,
But that's noted at the bottom.
gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to 2024 resolution, county aided bridge and culvert replacement. I'll need a motion in a second to bring it to the table. Supervisor Hartwig, A second. Supervisor Vispalik. And just for the new members again, too, if you could just let them know that this is something that we've been doing forever.
Yep.
So it's a standard process in the Department of Public Works.
Yep.
Josh, the table's yours.
All right. First and foremost, I'm Josh Glass. I'm the Assistant Highway Commissioner. So welcome to the new members here. Look forward to working with you guys moving forward. So as John said, we're looking for a motion here. Town of Addison has 4 culverts that they're going to be doing this year. So we're viewing them as a single project for the purpose of this. So if anybody has any questions on the program, otherwise looking for a single motion approving the resolution and moving that forward to County Board from Public Works.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
I think we already did that.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, now we have to take a vote. That's okay. So all approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, 2024 resolution authorizing Washington County Information Technology Department to provide information tech services to the town of West Bend. And that's something we just discussed before. I need a motion and a second to bring it to the table. Supervisor Garath, Supervisor Vispalik. Now, Joe, you got I should say floor, not table, right? You got the floor. It's yours.
All right. So yes, this is in continuance of our county shared services, using the county shared services revenue grant program. The big thing to point out here, thank you to Aaron Dahl and his team. They came up with a formula for us to kind of estimate the value of our services, and this one is an estimated value of just shy of $19,000 per year. That's our estimated based off of basically our time and labor. Any questions?
No questions? So this will be easy. Ready to take a vote then? All right, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, that was simple. Thank you.
I have one, and I just, if it's not appropriate, just on discussion item B, the minor grant. There was no action on that. Should there have been an action? Were we looking for a grant or anything? It said minor grant to funds, so I didn't know if we missed it was discussion. Should there have been an action on that?
I believe it was just a discussion item. Yeah. So if they, I guess, I'm not sure who can help with that, but
Just informing this committee that they've got grants to cover the cost.
Okay.
yep.
So there's no further action needed.
Yeah, I believe it's just a money thing that we have to really
I know,
approve. So.
I just bring it up if we missed something, but all right.
Okay, and then before we close, the next meeting's Tuesday, June 18th. Is everybody okay with moving from Thursday to Tuesday? And the reason we're doing this is because now there's a conflict with Thursday nights.
The same time?
It would be 4 o'clock if that would work. Is that all right with everybody?
Time, different bad channel?
Well, just different day. Yep, it'll just be before executive, and
We'll make the village meeting by 7.
I'll try to make sure I'm quick on them, okay? So we can move along.
So, question, for me, Tuesday, look, if I have to, Tuesday's kind of terrible for me.
Oh, how terrible.
I mean, I just, from a work standpoint, and then I either usually shoot trap or I play golf in the Washington County Golf League on Tuesday nights, one of the two. I'm just saying, and Tuesday for work for me, it's just usually one of these days. It's usually a longer day of the week.
Is there another night?
Yeah, is there another day or another?
Monday?
Monday's Monday too. Wednesday,
Can you
Tuesday,
speak for, can you speak for Scott? Or I'm assuming he's available any day, right? But,
I'm not aware of any conflicts with Scott. Speak
yeah,
in too much definition for his schedule.
then I'll
After
turn
hours.
around and talk to these guys.
No, yeah, or do you want to work it out here?
Well, I mean, the other option is we could go to 3:30 instead of 4 or something. Would that help? Or is it just
I'll look up your work day.
bad? Well, yeah, I get that.
Just makes me get up an hour.
Because see, Wednesday, they want to keep them all in the same week, all the committees.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm cool
Um,
with that same week.
And again, Thursday, there's just,
There's 5, weekdays in that week. All I was saying was, for me, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I realize probably most people don't want to do Friday, so Wednesday, like Thursday, worked well for me. That's, when we met also, when I was on planning and land use.
Just for, I suppose land use is in the morning, would a morning hours work better? And I'm just throwing it out.
Land use is switched from morning to, that's the conflict.
yeah, and that's the problem I have is my work
Right,
schedule.
Can we
Mornings
take
are
the
out.
Thursday morning at 7:30?
But mornings don't work good for me.
Well,
I mean, I could do like a 3 o'clock, move it up earlier.
Scott just said any day works for him.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
3 o'clock?
I could, would 3 o'clock, I know Dennis has his meetings at 4 o'clock, right?
4:30.
Oh, 4:30.
So land use changed after today? Okay, because I was here this morning for land use at 7:30, okay.
They changed, yeah. They wanted to go evenings as well, but I could certainly do a 3 o'clock on Thursday. That way we would.
On Thursday, I can make 4 o'clock. I can make 4 o'clock Thursday. It's
Well,
Tuesday.
We can't do 4 o'clock because land use and
Oh, so
planning's
3
at
o'clock
4:30.
Thursday?
3 o'clock
Sure, I'll
Thursday?
take 3 o'clock.
Would that be okay with the rest of you guys? 3 o'clock on Thursday?
Yeah, I
Are
guess.
you okay with that?
Yeah, stacking meetings, it means one less day that we have staff here.
I mean, yeah,
About 3 o'clock.
I'd have to just get out of work earlier, and on sunny days, I'm happy. So, all right, we'll move it to Thursday. It would be June 20th, I believe.
Thursday, 3 p.m.
Thursday's at 3. Is that, you guys making notes of that and let Mike
There
know?
we go.
Does work for Scott also.
That does? Awesome. And I believe, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The next meeting date then would be Thursday, June 20th.
Thursday, June 20th at 3 o'clock. Yep. And that gives us an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
I don't think in the 4 years I've been doing this, we might have had one meeting that went more than an hour, and it's because we had a public hearing. We had a public hearing. And other than that, we get out in plenty of time.
Yeah, 3 or 4 for me on Thursday, whatever works for everybody else on that day. 11, that works good.
3
Yeah, that
o'clock.
works.
3? Okay.
See, then I could just stay here through land use and learn it all right away.
To take over. the-
Yeah, let them know. And then I'm assuming that our call-ins would be the same time then, on Thursdays like it's been, to set up the meetings. Yeah, I'll have to contact her, Michael. I'm sure he'll get a hold of me. Okay, seeing nothing else,